हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, एज वी आर डन विद द 3 चैप्टर्स ऑलरेडी। अगर आपने अभी तक नहीं देखा है तो आप वो जाके देख सकते हैं चैनल पे। और अभी हम आज स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं विद द मॉलिक्यूलर बेसिस ऑफ इनहेरिटेंस एनसीईआरटी। तो लेट्स स्टार्ट। आज हम क्या क्या पढ़ेंगे अब वो आप देख लो। हम पढ़ेंगे आज द डीएनए, सर्च फॉर द जेनेटिक मटेरियल, आरएनए वर्ल्ड, रेप्लिकेशन, ट्रांसक्रिप्शन, जेनेटिक कोड, ट्रांसलेशन, regulation of gene expression, human genome project, and DNA fingerprinting. So let's start. In the previous chapter, you have learned the inheritance patterns and the genetic basis of such patterns. At the time of Mendel, the nature of those factors regulating the pattern of inheritance was not clear. Over the next 100 years, the nature of the putative genetic material was investigated, culminating in the realization that DNA deoxyribonucleic acid is the genetic material, at least for the majority of organisms. In class 11th, you have learned that nucleic acids are polymers of nucleotides. Okay, DNA and RNA are the two types of nucleic acids found in living system. DNA acts as a genetic material in most of the organisms. RNA, though it also acts as genetic material in some viruses, mostly functions as a messenger. RNA has additional roles as well. It functions as an adapter, structural, and in some cases as catalytic molecule. In class 11th, you have already learned that the structure of nucleotide is and the way these monomer units are linked to form nucleic acid polymers. In this chapter, we are going to discuss the structure of DNA, its replication, the process of making RNA from DNA, यानी कि transcription, the genetic code that determines the sequence of amino acids in proteins, the processes of protein synthesis यानी कि translation, and elementary basis of the regulation. The determination of complete nucleotide sequence of human genome during the last decade has set in a new era of genomics. In the last section, the essentials of human genome sequencing and its consequences will also be discussed. Let us begin our discussions by first understanding the structure and the most interesting molecule in the living system, that is, the DNA. In subsequent sections, we will understand that why it is the most abundant genetic material and what is its relationship is with RNA. 5.1 The DNA. DNA is a long polymer of deoxyribonucleotides. The length of DNA is usually defined as a number of nucleotides or a pair of nucleotides referred to as base pairs present in it. This also is characteristic of an organism. For example, a bacteriophage known as Phi174 has 5386 nucleotides. Bacteriophage lambda has 48502 base pairs, whereas Escherichia coli has 4.6 into 10 to the power 6 base pairs, and haploid content of human DNA is 3.3 into 10 to the power 9 base pairs. Let us discuss the structure of such a long polymer. 5.1.1 Structure of polynucleotide chain. Let us recapitulate the chemical structure of polynucleotide chain DNA or RNA. A nucleotide has three components: a nitrogenous base, pentose sugar, ribose in case of RNA, and deoxyribose for DNA, and a phosphate group. There are two types of nitrogenous bases: purines, यानी कि adenine and guanine, and pyrimidine, cytosine, uracil, and thymine. Cytosine is common for both DNA and RNA, and thymine is present in DNA. Uracil is present in RNA at the place of thymine. A nitrogenous base is linked to the OH of 1' carbon pentose sugar through an N-glycosidic linkage to form a nucleoside. किससे लिंक होते हैं आपको ये सारी चीज़ें ध्यान में रखनी है, it's very important from the exam point of view. Such as adenosine or deoxyadenosine, guanosine or deoxyguanosine, cytidine or deoxycytidine, and uridine or deoxythymidine. When a phosphate group is linked to OH of 5' carbon of a nucleoside through phosphoester linkage, a corresponding nucleotide or deoxynucleotide, depending upon the type of sugar present, is formed. Two nucleotides are linked through 3' to 5' phosphodiester linkage to form a dinucleotide. More nucleotides can be joined in such a manner to form a polynucleotide chain. A polymer thus formed has at one end a free phosphate moiety at 5' end of sugar, which is referred to as 5' end of polynucleotide chain. Similarly, at other end of the polymer, the sugar has a free OH of 3' carbon group, which is referred to as 3' end of the polynucleotide chain. The backbone of a polynucleotide chain is formed due to sugar and phosphate. बैकबोन किससे फॉर्म होता है? बाय द सुगर एंड फॉस्फेट्स. उसमें आपका पेंटोज शुगर नहीं आता है, आपकी चीज़ें ध्यान रखनी है. ओके. The nitrogenous base is linked to the sugar moiety project from the backbone. In RNA, every nucleotide residue has an additional OH group present at 2' position in the ribose. Also, in RNA, the uracil is found at the place of thymine. इसको हम 5-methyl uracil भी बोलते हैं. That is another name for the chemical name for thymine. DNA as an acidic substance present in nucleus was first identified by Friedrich Mischer in 1869. He named it as nuclein. However, due to technical limitations in isolating such a long polymer intact, the elucidation of structure of DNA remained elusive for a very long period of time. It was only in 1953 that James Watson and Francis Crick, based on the X-ray diffraction data produced by Maurice Wilkins and Rosalind Franklin, proposed a very simple but famous double helix model for the structure of DNA. One of the hallmarks of their propositions was base pairing between the two strands of the polynucleotide chain. ये भी important है कि क्या important hallmark था जिस पर उन्होंने ये चीज़ को बताया. ठीक है. However, this proposition was also based on the observation of Erwin Chargaff that for a double-stranded DNA, the ratios between adenine and thymine and guanine and cytosine are constant and equals 1. यानी कि A plus T by G plus C is equal to 1. Okay, the base pairing confers a very unique property to the polynucleotide chain. They are said to become complementary to each other, and therefore, if the sequence of the bases in one strand is known, then the other sequence in other strand can be predicted. Also, if each strand from a DNA, let us call it as a parental DNA, acts as template for synthesis of a new strand, the two double-stranded DNA, let us call them as a daughter DNA, thus produced would be identical to the parental DNA molecule. Because of this, the genetic implications of the structure of DNA became very clear. The salient features of the double helix structure of DNA are as follows. First, it is made of two polynucleotide chains where the backbone is constituted by sugar phosphates and the bases project inside. The two chains have anti-parallel polarity. It means if one chain has 5' to 3' की polarity, the other has 3' to 5' की polarity. The bases in the two strands are paired through hydrogen bonds forming base pairs. Adenine forms two hydrogen bonds with thymine from opposite strand and vice versa. Similarly, guanine is bonded with cytosine with 3 H bonds. As a result, always a purine comes opposite to a pyrimidine. This generates approximately uniform distance between the two strands of the helix. The two chains are coiled in a right-handed fashion. The pitch of the helix is 3.4 nanometer. A nanometer is 1 billionth of a meter, that is 10 to the power minus 9 meter. And there are roughly 10 base pairs in each turn. आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पे. ठीक है. Consequently, the distance between a base pair in a helix is approximately 0.34 nanometer. The plane of one base pair stacks over the other in double helix. This, in addition to H bonds, confers the stability of helical structure. Compare the structure of the purines and pyrimidines. Can you find out why the distance between the two polynucleotide chains in DNA remains almost constant? The proposition of double helix structure for DNA and simplicity in explaining the genetic implications became revolutionary. Very soon, Francis Crick proposed the central dogma in molecular biology, which states that genetic information flows from DNA to RNA to protein. यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं DNA से mRNA बन रहा है थ्रू ट्रांसक्रिप्शन एंड देन mRNA टू प्रोटीन हो रहा है थ्रू ट्रांसलेशन. ठीक है. और ये DNA से वापस DNA कैसे बनेगा? थ्रू रेप्लिकेशन. और इसको हम टोटल को बोलते हैं सेंट्रल डोग्मा. In some viruses, the flow of information is in reverse direction, that is from RNA to DNA. हाँ, ये देखो, अगर तुम्हारा RNA से DNA बनेगा तो वो कैसे बनेगा? यहाँ पे रिवर्स ट्रांसक्रिप्शन होता है. एंजाइम कौन सा होता है? रिवर्स ट्रांसक्रिप्टेज. ठीक है, इसको भी तुम ध्यान रखना. ओके. 5.1.2 पैकेजिंग ऑफ DNA हेलिक्स. Taking the distance between the two consecutive base pairs as 0.34 nanometer or 0.34 × 10⁻⁹ meter, if the length of DNA double helix in a typical mammalian cell is calculated simply by multiplying the total number of base pairs with distance between two consecutive base pairs, that is 6.6 into 10 to the power 9 base pairs into 0.34 into 10 to the power minus 9 meter per base pair, it comes out to be approximately 2.2 meters. A length that is far greater than the dimension of the typical nucleus, that is approximately 10 to the power minus 6 meter. How is such a long polymer packaged in a cell? If the length of E. coli DNA is 1.36 mm, can you calculate the number of base pairs in E. coli? ये तुम कर लेना देख के, ठीक है. In a prokaryotes such as E. coli, though they do not have a defined nucleus, the DNA is not scattered throughout the cell. DNA, being negatively charged, is held with some proteins that have positive charges in the region termed as nucleoid. The DNA in nucleoid is organized in large loops held by the proteins. In eukaryotes, this organization is much more complex. There is a set of positively charged basic proteins called histones, a protein acquired charge depending upon the abundance of amino acid residues with charged side chains. Histones are rich in basic amino acids lysine and arginine. Both the amino acid residues carry positive charges in their side chain. Histones are organized to form a unit of 8 molecules called histone octamer. The negatively charged DNA is wrapped around the positively charged histone octamer to form a structure called nucleosome. यहाँ पे आपको दिख रहा है, दिस इज न्यूक्लियोसोम. ये H1 हिस्टोन है और यहाँ से फिर आपकी आगे का जो ऑक्टोमर होगा वापस ऐसे कनेक्ट हो जाएगा. दिस इज द लिंकर, इसको लिंकर हिस्टोन भी कहते हैं. ये आपका डीएनए है जो रैप अराउंड कर रहा है ऐसे. 1 सेकेंड. दिस इज द डीएनए जो आपका ऐसे रैप वो लूप ओवर कर रहा है, साथ में रैप हो रहा है. और ये जो एक गोला गोला सा है ये आपका हिस्टोन ऑक्टोमर है. ठीक है, चलो. A typical nucleosome contains 200 base pairs of DNA helix. Nucleosome constitute the repeating unit of structure in nucleus called chromatin, thread-like stained colored bodies seen in nucleus. The nucleosomes in chromatin are seen as beads on string structure when viewed under electron microscopy. तुम देख सकते हो ऐसे 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 स्ट्रिंग्स पे ऐसे बीट्स बने हुए हैं ना, वही बोल रहा है ये. ठीक है, और ये सारा तुम्हारा जो है न्यूक्लियोसोम है. बीट्स ऑन स्ट्रिंग स्ट्रक्चर तुम्हारा दिख रहा है तुमको. चलो. The beads on string structure in chromatin is packaged to form chromatin fibers that are further coiled and condensed at metaphase stages of cell division to form chromosome. किस स्टेज पे हो रहा है ये कंडेंस? मेटाफेज स्टेज पे. ये भी तुम ध्यान रखना. The packaging of chromatin at higher level requires additional set of proteins that collectively are referred to as non-histone chromosomal proteins. In a typical nucleus, some regions of chromatin are loosely packed and stained light are referred to as euchromatin, and the chromatin that is more densely packed and stained darker are heterochromatin. Euchromatin is said to be transcriptionally active chromatin, whereas heterochromatin is inactive. The search for genetic material 5.2. Even though the discovery of nuclein by Michel and the proposition of a principle of inheritance by Mendel were almost at the same time, but that the DNA acts as the genetic material took long to be discovered and proven. By 1926, the quest to determine the mechanism for genetic inheritance had reached molecular level. Previous discoveries by Mendel, Sutton, Thomas and Morgan, and numerous other scientists had narrowed the search to the chromosomes located in the nucleus of most of the cells. But the question of what molecule was actually the genetic material had not been answered. Transforming principle. In 1928, Frederick Griffith, in a series of experiments with Streptococcus pneumoniae, bacterium responsible for the pneumonia, witnessed a miraculous transformation in the bacteria. During the course of his experiment, a living organism had changed in physical form. When Streptococcus pneumococcus bacteria are grown on a culture plate, some produce smooth shining colonies, while others produce rough colonies. This is because the S strain bacteria have a mucus polysaccharide coat while R strain does not. Mice infected with the S strain virulent die from pneumonia infection, but the mice infected with the R strain do not develop pneumonia. देखो, S strain को इंजेक्ट किया गया तो चूहा मर गया, R strain को किया गया इंजेक्ट, चूहा जिंदा था. अब उसके बाद Griffith was able to kill bacteria by heating them. He observed that heat killed S strain bacteria injected into mice did not kill them. When he injected a mixture of heat-kill S and live R bacteria, the mice died. Moreover, he recovered living S bacteria from the dead mice. देखो, S स्ट्रेन को हीट किल करके माइस में इंजेक्ट किया, तब भी माइस जिंदा था क्योंकि उसमें सारे बैक्टीरिया मर गए. लेकिन S स्ट्रेन को हीट किल करके R स्ट्रेन के साथ अगर उसको जोड़ दिया और फिर इंजेक्ट किया तो चूहा मर गया. मतलब यहाँ से कुछ यहाँ पे गया है ट्रांसफॉर्म होके, ये पता चल गया था. ठीक है. He concluded that the R strain bacteria had somehow been transformed by the heat-killed S strain bacteria. Some transforming principle transferred from the heat-killed S strain had enabled the R strain to synthesize a smooth polysaccharide coat and become virulent. This must be due to the transfer of the genetic material. However, the biochemical nature of the genetic material was not defined from his experiments. कि कौन सा है, क्या ट्रांसफॉर्म हुआ ये पता चल गया, लेकिन क्या ट्रांसफॉर्म हुआ ये पता नहीं चल पा रहा था. ठीक है. Biochemical characterization of transforming principle. Prior to the work of Avery, MacLeod and McCarthy, 1933 से 44 तक, the genetic material was thought to be protein. They worked to determine the biochemical nature of transforming principle in Griffith's experiment. They purified biochemical proteins DNA, RNA from the heat-killed S cells to see which one could transform live R cells into S cells. They discovered that DNA alone from S bacteria caused R bacteria to be transformed. They also discovered that protein digesting enzymes यानी कि protease and RNAs did not affect transformation. So the transforming substance was not protein or RNA. Digestion of with DNAs did inhibit the transformation, suggesting that the DNA caused the transformation. They concluded that DNA is the hereditary material, but not all biologists were convinced. Okay. Can you think of any differences between DNAs and DNAs? बताओ क्या होता है. चलो, the genetic अभी तुमने पढ़ लिया, अभी तुमको इतना आइडिया लग गया होगा, ये तुम आंसर खुद से कर लेना. The genetic material is DNA. The unequivocal proof that DNA is a genetic material came from the experiment of Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase in 1952. They worked with viruses that infect bacteria called bacteriophages. The bacteriophage attaches to the bacteria and its genetic material that enters in the bacterial cell. The bacterial cell treats the viral genetic material as if it was its own and subsequently manufactures more viruses particles. Hershey and Chase worked to discover whether it was protein or DNA from the virus that entered the bacteria. They grew some viruses on a medium that contained radioactive phosphorus and some other on medium that contained radioactive sulfur. Viruses grown in the presence of radioactive phosphorus contain radioactive DNA but not radioactive protein because DNA contains phosphorus but protein does not. Similarly, viruses grown on radioactive sulfur contain radioactive protein but not radioactive DNA because DNA does not contain sulfur. Radioactive phages were allowed to attach to E. coli bacteria. Then, as the infection proceeded, the viral coats were removed from the bacteria by agitating them in a blender. The virus particles were separated from the bacteria by spinning them into centrifuge. Bacteria which was infected with viruses that had a radioactive DNA were radioactive, indicating that DNA was the material that passed from the virus to the bacteria. Bacteria that were infected with the virus that had radioactive protein were not radioactive क्योंकि वो तो pass on हुआ ही नहीं. This indicates the protein did not enter the bacteria from the virus. DNA is therefore the genetic material that is passed from virus to the bacteria. ठीक है, यहाँ पे देखो दे रखा है, ये तुम्हारा बैक्टीरियोफाज है, यहाँ पे फॉस्फोरस से इसको रेडियो एक्टिव है, ये तुम्हारा सल्फर रेडियो एक्टिव है. ठीक है, इसको पास इन्फेक्ट किया गया, फिर ब्लेंड किया गया, उसके बाद सेंट्रीफ्यूज कर दिए, तो तुम्हारा क्या हो गया, रेडियो एक्टिव फॉस्फोरस आगे सेल्स में, लेके इसमें रेडियो एक्टिव सल्फर नहीं आ पाया. ठीक है, और नो रेडियो एक्टिव डिटेक्टेड इन द सुपरनेंट, रेडियो एक्टिव डिटेक्टेड इन द सुपरनेंट, मतलब ये चीज़ थी. ठीक है, चलो प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ द जेनेटिक मटेरियल डीएनए वर्सेस आरएनए. From the foregoing discussions, it is clear that the debate between protein versus DNA as genetic material was unequivocally resolved from the Hershey-Chase experiment. It became an established fact that it is DNA that acts as genetic material. However, it subsequently became clear that in some viruses, RNA is a genetic material. For example, tobacco mosaic virus, QB bacteriophage, etc. Answer to some of the questions such as why DNA is predominant genetic material whereas RNA performs dynamic functions of messenger and adapter has to be found from the differences between chemical structures of two nucleic acid molecules. Can you recall the two chemical differences between DNA and RNA? तुमको क्या क्या पता है? एक तो 2' एंड जो होता है 2 वो उसमें एक ज़्यादा फ्री होता है RNA में, और क्या होता है तुम्हारा थाइमीन होता है तुम्हारा DNA में प्रेजेंट, और उसमें तुम्हारा यूरेसिल प्रेजेंट होता है. ठीक है, चलो. A molecule that acts as genetic material must fulfill the following criteria. पहला, it should be able to generate its replica. ठीक है, ये तो DNA भी करेगा, RNA भी करेगा, और प्रोटीन तो कुछ नहीं करेगा, कहाँ से रेप्लिका अपना लेके आएगा वो. It should be stable chemically and structurally, जो कि RNA यहाँ पे बहुत अनस्टेबल हो जाता है. ठीक है. It should provide the scope for slow changes that are required for evolution, क्योंकि RNA अनस्टेबल है, वो बहुत ही फास्ट म्यूटेशन करता है, तो यहाँ पे भी RNA खराब हो गया DNA के कंपैरिजन में. And it should be able to express itself in the form of Mendelian characters. यहाँ पे तो कर लेगा, देखो If one examines each requirement one by one because of rule of base pairing and complementarity, both the nucleic acids DNA and RNA have the ability to direct their duplications. The other molecule in the living system, such as protein, fail to fulfill the first criteria itself. The genetic material should be stable enough to not to change with the different stages of life cycle, age, or with the change in physiology of the organism. Stability as one of the properties of genetic material was very evident in Griffith's transforming principle itself, that the heat which killed the bacteria at least did not destroy some of the properties of the genetic material. This now can easily be explained in the light of the DNA that the two strands being complementary if separated by heating come together when appropriate conditions are provided. Further, 2' OH group present at every nucleotide in RNA is a reactive group and makes RNA labile and easily degradable. RNA is also now known to be catalytic, hence reactive. Therefore, DNA chemically is less reactive and structurally more stable when compared to RNA. Therefore, among the two nucleic acids, the DNA is a better genetic material. In fact, the presence of thymine at the place of uracil also confirms additional stability to DNA. Radial discussion about this requires understanding of the process of repair in DNA, and you will study these processes in the higher classes. Both DNA and RNA are able to mutate. In fact, RNA being unstable mutate at a faster rate. Consequently, the viruses having RNA genome and having shorter lifespan mutate and evolve faster. RNA can directly code for the synthesis of protein, hence can easily express the characters. DNA, however, is dependent on RNA for synthesis of protein. The protein synthesizing machinery has evolved around RNA. The above discussion indicate both RNA and DNA can function as genetic material, but DNA being more stable is preferred for storage of genetic information. For the transmission of genetic information, RNA is better. 5.3 RNA vault. From foregoing discussions, an immediate question becomes evident: which is the first genetic material? It shall be discussed in detail in the chapter on chemical evolution, but briefly we shall highlight some of the facts and points. RNA was the first genetic material. There is now enough evidence to suggest that the essential life process such as metabolism, translation, splicing, etc. evolved around RNA. RNA used to act as genetic material as well as a catalyst. There are some important biochemical reactions in living systems that are catalyzed by RNA catalyst and not by protein, enzymes. But RNA, being a catalyst, was reactive and hence unstable. Therefore, DNA has evolved from RNA with chemical modifications that makes it more stable. DNA being double-stranded and having complementary strand further resists changes by evolving a process of repair. 5.4 Replication. While proposing a double helical structure for DNA, Watson and Crick had immediately proposed a scheme for replication of DNA. To quote their original statement, that is as follows: "It has not escaped our notice that the specific pairing we have postulated immediately suggests a possible copying mechanism for the genetic material." उनकी बुक से है वॉटसन एंड क्रिक 1953. ठीक है, उन्होंने ये स्टेटमेंट दी थी. The scheme suggested that the two strands would separate and act as a template for the synthesis of new complementary strands. After the completion of a replication, each DNA molecule would have one parental and one newly synthesized strand. This scheme was termed as semi-conservative DNA replication. The experimental proof. It is now proven that DNA replicates semi-conservatively. Okay? It was shown first in Escherichia coli and subsequently in higher organisms such as plants and human cells. Matthew Michelson and Franklin Stahl performed the following experiment in 1958. तो तुमको सबका साल याद रखना कि कब कौन सा एक्सपेरिमेंट हो रहा था, कब क्या परफॉर्म हो रहा था, कब क्या प्रूव हुआ. ठीक है, बिकॉज ये सब बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से. चलो, फर्स्ट they grew E. coli in a medium containing NH4Cl. यहाँ पे जो N15 is the heavy isotope of nitrogen, ठीक है, as the only nitrogen source for many generations. The result was that N15 was incorporated into newly synthesized DNA as well as the other nitrogen containing compounds. This heavy DNA molecule could be distinguished from the normal DNA by centrifugation in cesium chloride CaCl density gradient. Please note that N15 is not a radioactive isotope and it can be separated from N14 only based on densities. Then they transferred the cells into a medium with normal NH4Cl, यहाँ पे N14 लिया गया, and took samples at various definite time interval as the cell multiplied and extracted the DNA that remained as double-stranded helices. The various samples were separated independently on CSCL gradients to measure the density of DNA. यहाँ तुम देख सकते हो, यहाँ पे तुम्हारा जो डीएनए था वो N15 का डीएनए था, फिर उसको वो इसमें N15 मीडियम में रखा गया, फिर उसको 20 मिनट के लिए वो एक बार रेप्लिकेट किया, तो यहाँ पे तुम देखो एक N14 और एक N15 का स्ट्रैंड आ गया, फिर इसको हाइब्रिड मीडियम में रखा गया और वापस बनाया गया। तो देखो तुम्हारे जो ओरिजिनल स्ट्रैंड्स थे वो उतने ओरिजिनली ही प्रेजेंट है, N15 वाले 2 स्ट्रैंड्स प्रेजेंट है, ठीक है, बाकी N14 वाले आ गए। तो तुम्हारे जनरेशन 2 जनरेशन 1 में ऐसे देख के उसको फिर डेंसिटी के उससे अलग कर लेते हैं, ठीक है। चलो, thus the DNA was extracted from the culture one generation after the transfer from N15 to N14 medium, that is after 20 minutes. Escherichia coli divides in 20 minutes, had a hybrid or intermediate density. DNA extracted from the culture after another generation, that is after 40 minutes, generation 2, was composed of equal amounts of this hybrid DNA and of light DNA. देख लो एक सेकेंड, ये तुम्हारा हैवी DNA था, ठीक है, N14 N15 का एक N14 N15 का तो एकदम हैवी था, ये इंटरमीडिएट हुआ ना हैवी, क्योंकि इसमें एक लाइट स्टैंड भी लगा हुआ है। फिर इसको एक और बार तुम्हारा लाइट मीडियम में वो किया गया, तो क्या हो गया, तुम्हारे 2 स्टैंड लाइट वाले बन गए और एक तुम्हारे इंटरमीडिएट वाले बन गए, ठीक है। मतलब तुम्हारे ओरिजिनली मान लो ये तुम्हारा 2 स्टैंड था, तो ये तुम्हारा ओरिजिनल भी 2 स्टैंड भी प्रेजेंट है ना, तो उसको तुम एक तुम समझ गए होगे कैसे करना है। ओके चलो अब आगे चलते हैं, क्या हो रही है। If E. coli was allowed to grow for 80 minutes, then what would be the proportion of light and hybrid density of DNA molecule? ठीक है, यहाँ पे तुम देखो तुम्हारा दिस वॉज तुम्हारी हैवी डेंसिटी, फिर तुम्हारे यहाँ पे इंटरमीडिएट डेंसिटी आ गई, और यहाँ पे तुम्हारी लाइट डेंसिटी और इंटरमीडिएट डेंसिटी का इक्वल अमाउंट आ गया, ठीक है। अगर तुम इसको 80 मिनट्स यानी कि 2 साइकिल और रख दोगे और किस मीडियम में रखोगे उस पर डिपेंड करके तुम्हारा फिर नया वो वेरिएशन आ जाएगा, ठीक है। Very similar experiments involving use of radioactive thymidine to detect distribution of newly synthesized DNA in the chromosome was performed on Vishia faba यानी कि faba beans by Taylor and colleagues in 1958. The experiments proved that DNA in chromosomes also replicate semi-conservatively. ठीक है, ये यूकैरियोटिक का था तुम्हारा, वो तुमने देखा था साल ने किसके लिए किया था, प्रोकैरियोट्स के लिए, तो इन्होंने ई कोलाई पे किया था, ठीक है। और टेलर एंड कलीग्स ने किस पे किया, विशिया फेबा पे, ये क्या था तुम्हारा यूकैरियोट। चलो, the machinery and the enzymes. In living cells, such as E. coli, the process of replication requires a set of catalysts, यानी कि enzymes. The main enzyme is referred to as DNA-dependent DNA polymerase, since it uses DNA template to catalyze the polymerization of deoxynucleotides. These enzymes are highly efficient enzymes as they have to catalyze polymerization of a large number of nucleotides in a very short time. E. coli that has only 4.6 into 10 to the power 6 base pair compared with human whose diploid content is 6.6 into 10 to the power 9 base pairs completes the process of replication within 18 minutes. That means the average rate of polymerization has to be approximately 2000 base pairs per second. Not only do these polymers have to be fast, but they also have to be catalyze the reaction with high degree of accuracy. Any mistake during replication would result into mutations. Furthermore, energetically replications is very expensive process. Deoxyribonucleoside triphosphate serve dual purposes. ठीक है? In addition to acting as substrate, they provide energy for polymerization reaction. The 2 terminal phosphates in deoxynucleoside triphosphates are high energy phosphates, same as in the case of ATP. In addition to DNA-dependent DNA polymerase, many additional enzymes are required to complete the process of replication with high degree of accuracy. For long DNA molecules, since the 2 strands of DNA cannot be separated in its entire length due to very high energy requirement, the replication occurs within a small opening of DNA helix, referred to as replication fork. The DNA-dependent DNA polymerase catalyzes polymerization only in one direction, that is 5' to 3' direction. This creates some additional complications at the replication fork. Consequently, on one strand, the template with polarity 3' to 5', the replication is continuous, while on the other, the template with polarity 5' to 3', it is discontinuous. The discontinuously synthesized fragments are later joined by the enzyme DNA ligase. The DNA polymerase on their own cannot initiate the process of replication. Also, the replication does not initiate randomly at any phase in DNA. There is definite region in E. coli DNA where the replication originates. Such regions are termed as origin of replication या उनको ओरिसाइड कहते हैं, जो तुमने बायोटेक्नोलॉजी में पढ़ रखा होगा या पढ़ोगे अभी. It is because of the requirement of the origin of replication that a piece of DNA is, if needed to be propagated during recombinant DNA procedure, requires a vector. The vector provides the origin of replication. Further, not every detail of replication is understood well. In eukaryotes, the replication of DNA takes place at S phase of the cell cycle. The replication of DNA and cell division cycle should be highly coordinated. A failure in cell division after DNA replications result into polyploidy, a chromosomal anomaly. You will learn the detailed nature of origin and process of occurring at this site in higher classes. देखो यहाँ पे तुम्हारा कंटिन्यूस सिंथेसिस हुआ क्योंकि 5 to 3 डायरेक्शन में वो एकदम कंटिन्यूस करता है. फिर उसके बाद 3 to 5 में वो यहाँ पे डिसकंटिन्यूस हो गया. देख रहे हो, टूटा 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 बन रहा है. इनको हम ओकाज़ाकी फ्रैगमेंट्स कहते हैं. और यहाँ पे तुम्हारा डिसकंटिन्यूस सिंथेसिस हो गया और ये तुम्हारा कंटिन्यूस सिंथेसिस हो गया. ठीक है, तो कैसा अगर पूछता है ना, आई गेस PYQ था कि कैसा होता है रेप्लिकेशन का वो नेचर, तो कैसा होता है सेमी कंजर्वेटिव एंड सेमी कंटिन्यूस. ठीक है, क्योंकि एक जगह पे कंटिन्यूस है, एक जगह पे डिसकंटिन्यूस है. ठीक है, तो तुमको ये चीज़ ध्यान रखनी है. चलो, transcription. The process of copying genetic material information from one strand of the DNA into RNA is termed as transcription. Here, also the principle of complementarity governs the process of transcription, except the adenosine complement now forms base pair with uracil instead of thymine. However, unlike in the process of replication, which once set in is the total DNA of an organism gets duplicated. In transcription, only a segment of DNA and only one of the strands is copied into RNA. This necessitates defining the boundaries that would demarcate the region and the strand of DNA that would be transcribed. Why both the strands are not copied during transcription has a simple answer. First, if both strands act as a template, they would code for RNA molecule with different sequences. Remember, complementarity doesn't mean आइडेंटिकल. तुमको पता है अगर यहाँ पे एडनिन है तो ये थाइमिन से पेयर कर रहा है. एक की स्ट्रैंड है, एक की स्ट्रैंड है. यहाँ पे मान लो गोनिन है तो यहाँ पे तुम्हारा साइटोसिनस की जगह पे. ठीक है, मान लो ये कर रहा है तो ये तुम्हारा AG जो भी तुम्हारा कोड बनाएगा ये कुछ करेगा. अगर हम दोनों को कराने लगेंगे तो ये अलग कोड करने लगेगा, ये अलग कोड करने लगेगा, तो ये बहुत ही कॉम्प्लेक्स हो जाएगा और ये ख़राब हो जाएगा, सिस्टम बर्बाद हो जाएगा. कैसे करेंगे हम फिर ढंग का चीज़? तो इसलिए एक को ही हम वो करते हैं, ट्रांसक्रिप्शन होता है एक टेम्पलेट का. ठीक है, चलो. And in turn, if they code for protein, the sequence of amino acid in the protein would be different, जो मैंने अभी बताया. Hence, one segment of the DNA would be coding for two different proteins, and this would complicate the genetic information transfer machinery. Second, the two RNA molecules, if produced simultaneously, would be complementary to each other, hence would form a double-stranded RNA. This would prevent RNA from being translated into protein, and the exercise of transcription would become a futile one. ठीक है? Okay, 5.5.1 Transcription Unit. A transcription unit in DNA is defined primarily by the three regions in the DNA: promoter, structural gene, and determinator. There is a convention in defining the two strands of the DNA structural gene of a transcription unit. Since the two strands have opposite polarity and the DNA-dependent RNA polymerase also catalyzes the polymerization only in one direction, that is 5' to 3' direction, and strands has the polarity 3' to 5' direction, acts as a template and is also referred as template strand. The other strand, which has the polarity 5' to 3' and the sequence same as RNA except the thymine at the place of uracil, is displaced during transcription. Strangely, this strand, which does not code for anything, is referred to as coding strand. All the reference point while defining a transcription unit is made with the coding strand. To explain the point, a hypothetical sequence from the transcription unit is represented below. देखो ये तुम्हारा template strand है, उसका कोड ये है, तुम्हारा कोडिंग स्टैंड ये है. ठीक है, अभी तुम्हारा कोडिंग स्टैंड है, तुम्हारा जो mRNA में कोड होगा वो सेम यही होगा, बस तुमको थाइमीन की जगह पे यूरेसिल लगा देना है और कुछ चेंज नहीं करना है. ठीक है, यही तुम्हारा कोडिंग स्टैंड हो जाता है. ओके, देखो ये तुम्हारा 3 to 5 की डायरेक्शन में, ये तुम्हारा प्रमोटर हो गया. ठीक है, और ये तुम्हारा टर्मिनेटर हो गया जो 3 के जो 5 to 3 में ऐसे हो रखा है. और ये तुम्हारा टेम्पलेट स्टैंड हो गया प्रमोटर अगर तुम्हारा इधर लगा, तुम्हारा टेम्पलेट हो गया, तुम्हारा कोडिंग हो गया, ये तुम्हारा ट्रांसक्रिप्शन स्टार्ट साइट है और दिस इज योर स्ट्रक्चरल जीन. ठीक है, ओके. A promoter and terminator flank the structural gene in a transcription unit. The promoter is said to be located towards 5' end upstream of the structural gene. The reference is made with respect to the polarity of the coding strand. It is DNA sequence that provides binding site for RNA polymerase and it is present. मान लो बस ऐसे ही दे रखा है, ठीक है. मान लो ये तुम्हारा 3 और 5, ये 3 और 5 ऐसे दे रखा है. अगर तुमको वैसे बताना हो कि तुम्हारे पास से कौन सा स्ट्रक्चरल जीन है, तुम्हारे पास कौन सा टेम्पलेट स्टैंड है, तो तुम नहीं बता पाओगे अनलेस तुम्हारा जब तक एक प्रमोटर और एक टर्मिनेटर का वो नहीं बता दिया जाए, कौन सा प्रमोटर है, किस साइड तुम्हारा टर्मिनेटर लोकेटेड है. ठीक है, और तुमको उसकी पोलैरिटी पता है किसके टुवर्ड्स लोकेट होता है वो, तो उस हिसाब से होता है ये. तो अपने कॉन्सेप्ट को क्लियर रखना इस चैप्टर में भाई इंपॉर्टेंट होता है. ठीक है. And it is presence of promoter in transcription unit that also defines the template and coding stands. By switching its position with terminator, definition of coding and template stands could be reversed. जो मैंने बता दिया अभी. The terminator is located towards 3' end downstream of the coding stand and it is usually defines the end of the process of transcription. There are additional regularity sequence that may be present further upstream or downstream to the promoter. Some of the properties of these sequences shall be discussed while dealing with the regulation of gene expression. 5.5.2 Transcription unit and the gene. A gene is defined as the functional unit of inheritance. Though there is no ambiguity that the gene are located on the DNA, it is difficult to literally define a gene in terms of DNA sequence. The DNA sequence coding for the tRNA or RNA molecule also define a gene. However, by defining a cistron as a segment of DNA coding for a polypeptide, the structural gene in a transcription unit could said be as monocistronic mostly in eukaryotes or polycistronic mostly in bacteria or prokaryotes. In eukaryotes, the monocistronic structural gene have interrupted coding sequences. The genes in eukaryotes are split. The coding sequences are defined as exons. Exons are said to be those sequences that appear in mature or processed RNA. The exons are interrupted by introns. Introns or intervening sequences do not appear in mature or processed RNA. The split gene arrangement further complicates the definition of a gene in terms of DNA segments. Inheritance of character is also affected by promoter and regulatory sequences of structural gene. Hence, sometimes the regulatory sequences are loosely defined as regulatory genes even though these sequences do not code for any RNA or protein. Types of RNA in the process of transcription. In bacteria, there are 3 major types of RNAs: mRNA, messenger RNA, tRNA, transfer RNA, and rRNA, ribosomal RNA. All 3 RNAs are needed to synthesize a protein in a cell. The mRNA provides the template, tRNA brings amino acids and reads genetic code, and rRNAs play structural and catalytic role during translation. There is single DNA-dependent RNA polymerase that catalyzes transcription of all types of RNA in bacteria. RNA polymerase binds to promoter and initiates transcription, यानी कि initiation. It uses nucleoside triphosphate as substrate and polymerizes in a template-dependent fashion following the rule of complementarity. It somehow also facilitates opening of the helix and continuous elongation. Only a short stretch of RNA remains bound to the enzyme. Once the polymerase reaches the terminator region, the nascent RNA falls off, so also the RNA polymerase. This results into the termination of transcription. यहाँ पे तुम देख सकते हो इसमें, यहाँ पे तुम्हारा इनिशिएशन हुआ. इनिशिएशन तुम्हारा सिग्मा फैक्टर इज इनिशिएटिंग फैक्टर, ठीक है, और रो फैक्टर होता है तुम्हारा वहाँ पे टर्मिनेशन होता है. ठीक है, इट इज़ द इलोंगेशन एंड हियर इज द टर्मिनेशन. ठीक है, दिस इज द प्रोसेस ऑफ ट्रांसक्रिप्शन इन बैक्टीरिया. An intriguing question is that how is the RNA polymerase able to catalyze all the 3 types which are initiation, elongation and termination? The RNA polymerase is only capable of catalyzing the process of elongation. It associates transiently with initiation factor, that is sigma, and termination factor, which is rho, to initiate and terminate the transcription respectively. Association with these factors alter the specificity of the RNA polymerase to either initiate or terminate. In bacteria, since the mRNA does not require any processing to become active, and also since transcription and translation takes place in the same compartment, there is no separation of cytosol and nucleus in bacteria. Many times the translation can begin much before the mRNA is fully transcribed. Consequently, the transcription and translation can be coupled in a bacteria. ठीक है, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट लाइन फ्रॉम एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. पूछ लेगा कि साथ में होता है, इसके बाद होता है, कि कैसे होता है. तो नहीं भाई, कपल्ड भी हो सकता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है. इन यूकैरियोट्स देयर आर 2 एडिशनल कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज. तुम्हारे प्रोकैरियोट्स की बात खत्म हो गई, अब यूकैरियोट्स में देखते हैं क्या होता है. There are at least 3 RNA polymerase in the nucleus in addition to RNA polymerase found in organelles. There is a clear-cut division of labor. The RNA polymerase 1 transcribe rRNAs 28, 18 and 5.8s, whereas the RNA polymerase 3 is responsible for the transcription of tRNA, 5s RNA and snRNA, small nuclear RNAs. The RNA polymerase 2 transcribes the precursor of mRNA, the heterogeneous nuclear RNA. किसमें कौन सा आता है, you have to remember. और एक ये तुम देखो, RNA polymerase 1, 2 और 3 को तुम ऐसे रखते RMT, ऐसे भी याद रख सकते हो. 1 वाला rRNA करता है, सेकेंड वाला मैसेंजर करता है, और तीसरा वाला जो होता है तुम्हारा tRNA को करता है. ठीक है, और किसमें क्या क्या आता है, you have to keep remember. Okay. The second complexity is that the primary transcript contains both exons and introns and are non-functional. Hence, it is subjected to a process called splicing, where the introns are removed and exons are joined in a defined order. hnRNA undergoes additional processing called a capping and tailing. In capping, an unusual nucleotide methylguanosine triphosphate is added to the 5' end of hnRNA. In tailing, adenylate tail residues 200 to 300 are added at 3' end in template-independent manner. It is the fully processed hnRNA, now called mRNA, that is transported out of the nucleus for translation. The significance of such complexities is now beginning to be understood. The split gene arrangement represents probably an ancient feature of the genome. The presence of introns is reminiscent of antiquity, and the process of splicing represents the dominance of RNA both. In recent times, the understanding of RNA and RNA-dependent processes in the living system have assumed more importance. Genetic code. During replication and transcription, a nucleic acid was copied to form another nucleic acid. Hence, these processes are easy to conceptualize on the basis of complementarity. The process of translation requires transfer of genetic information from a polymer of nucleotide to synthesize a polymer of amino acid. Neither does any complementarity exist between nucleotides and amino acids, nor could any be drawn theoretically. There existed ample evidence, though, to support the notion that change in nucleic acid genetic material were responsible for change in amino acid in proteins. This led to proposition of a genetic code that could direct the sequence of amino acid during the synthesis of proteins. If determining the biochemical nature of genetic material and the structure of DNA was very exciting, the proposition and deciphering of genetic code were most challenging. In a very true sense, it required involvement of scientists from several disciplines: physicist, organic chemist, biochemist, and geneticist. It was George Gamow, a physicist, who argued that since there are only 4 bases and if they have to code for 20 amino acids, the code should be constitute a combination of bases. He suggested that in order to code for all 20 amino acids, the code should be made up of 3 nucleotides. This was a very bold proposition because a permutation combination of 4 cube would generate 64 codons, generating many more codons than required. Providing proof that codon was a triplet was a more daunting task. The chemical method developed by Hargobind Khurana was instrumental in synthesizing RNA molecules with defined combination of bases, homopolymers and copolymers. Marshall Nirenberg's cell-free system for protein synthesis finally helped the code to be deciphered. Severo-Ochoa enzyme, polynucleotide phosphorylase, was also helpful in polymerizing RNA with defined sequence in a template-independent manner. Enzymatic synthesis of RNA. Finally, checkerboard for genetic code was prepared in given table 5.1. तुम इसमें देख सकते हो सारा एक ट्रिपलेट है, ठीक है, और सब कुछ मतलब एक कोडॉन, एक से ज़्यादा कोडॉन एक सेम अमाइनो एसिड को कोड कर सकता है, ठीक है, लेकिन मतलब कि सॉरी एक अमाइनो एसिड जो होता है वो बहुत सारे कोडॉन से कोड हो सकता है, लेकिन एक कोडॉन सिर्फ एक ही अमाइनो एसिड को कोड करेगा, ठीक है। एक ये था, और कौन कौन सा इंपॉर्टेंट तुमको उसमें ध्यान रखना है, एक तो तुमको स्टार्ट कोडॉन ध्यान रखना है और एक तुमको स्टॉप कोडॉन ध्यान रखने हैं। तुम्हारा स्टॉप कोडॉन कौन कौन से होते हैं बताओ, तुम बताओ। देखो, एक तुम्हारा एक यूजीए स्टॉप कोडॉन होता है, एक तुम्हारा यूए स्टॉप कोडॉन होता है, तुम्हारा एक यूएजी स्टॉप कोडॉन, तुम्हारे पास 3 स्टॉप कोडॉन होते हैं, और एक स्टार्ट कोडॉन होता है एयूजी, और जीयूजी भी जो होता है वो भी एक स्टार्ट कोडॉन की तरह काम करता है, ठीक है। तो यू हैव 5 कोडॉन टू रिमेंबर, जीयूजी एंड एयूजी एज द स्टार्ट कोडॉन्स, वेयर एयूजी ज़्यादा बात करते हैं हम, जीयूजी इज़ लाइक शायद से मेरे को क्लियर याद नहीं आ रहा, बट जीयूजी तो होता ही है, तो मुझे याद है। और ये तुम्हारे 3 स्टॉप कोडॉन्स हैं, और एयूजी साथ में क्या कहते हैं, तुम्हारे मिथेनिन को भी कोड करता है, ठीक है। चलो अब उसके फीचर्स पढ़ते हैं। The salient features of genetic code are as follows. The codon is a triplet. 61 codons code for amino acids and 3 codons do not code for any amino acid, hence they function as stop codons. Some amino acids are coded by more than one codon, hence the code is degenerate. The codon is read in mRNA in a contiguous fashion. There are no punctuations. The code is nearly universal. For example, from bacteria to human, UUU would code for phenylalanine. Some exceptions to this rule have been found in mitochondrial codons and in protozoans. AUG has dual functions. It codes for methionine and it also acts as an initiator codon. UAA, UAG and UGA are the stop terminator codons. ठीक है। If following is a sequence of nucleotide in mRNA, predict the sequence of amino acid coded by it. देखो यहाँ से तो तुम्हारा स्टॉप स्टार्ट हो गया तुम्हारा, अब तुम्हारा स्टॉप कहाँ हो रहा है, तुम्हारा स्टॉप कोडन तो यहाँ पे है ही नहीं, ठीक है। तो यहाँ पे देखो मिथेनिन से स्टार्ट हो गया और तुम्हारा बाकी सब कोड कर दिया, जो भी फेनिलिन को कोड कर रहे हैं, ठीक है। चलो नाउ ट्राई द ऑपोजिट। फॉलोइंग इज द सीक्वेंस ऑफ अमाइनो एसिड कोड बाय एन mRNA, प्रेडिक्ट द न्यूक्लियोटाइड सीक्वेंस। ये वही दे रखा है, गैस मिथेनिन का तो यही है, और यू तुम्हारा जो होता है वो शायद से हाँ वही कोड करता है, तो उसी को उल्टा करके दे रखा है बस। डू यू फेस एनी डिफिकल्टी इन प्रिडिक्टिंग द ऑपोजिट? कैन यू नाउ करेक्टली विच 2 प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ जेनेटिक कोड यू हैव लर्नड? बताओ कौन से करें तुमने, तुम खुद से कमेंट में करके बताओ। चलो, म्यूटेशंस एंड जेनेटिक कोड। The relationship between the genes and the DNA are best understood by mutation studies. You have studied about mutation and its effect in chapter 4. Effects of large deletions and rearrangement in a segment of DNA are easy to comprehend. It may result in loss or gain of a gene and so function. The effect of a point mutation will be explained here. A classical example of point mutation is change of a single base pair in the gene for beta globin chain that result in change of amino acid residue glutamate to valine. It results into a diseased condition called as sickle cell anemia. Effect of point mutation that inserts or deletes a base in structural gene can be better understood by the following simple example. Consider a statement that is made up of following words, each having 3 letters like a genetic code. Ram has a red cap. तीनों का तुमको चारों का सेंस समझ में आ रहा है। अगर यहाँ पे बी इंसर्ट कर दिया जाए तब भी इसको ट्रिपलेट के फॉर्म में रखेंगे, लेकिन फिर राम और हैश तक तो तुम्हारा समझ में आ रहा है, उसके बाद तो सब कुछ क्या हो गया, ये ब्री DCA और अलग से पी कुछ सेंस बना रहा है नहीं ना, सब कुछ बिगड़ गया। तो इसको सिंगल बेस पेयर के उससे इंट्रोडक्शन से तुम्हारा क्या हो गया, यहाँ पे ये म्यूटेशन अलग हो गई और ये उसके आगे की सारी चीज़ें बदल गई, ठीक है। सिमिलरली इफ यू नाउ इंसर्ट 2 letters एट द सेम प्लेस ऑफ, नाउ इट वुड रेड एज BIREDCAP। अगर हम 3 कर देंगे तो ये पूरा फ्रेम शिफ्ट म्यूटेशन का एग्जाम्पल हो गया, यहाँ पे एक पूरा तुम्हारा वही इंट्रोड्यूस हो गया, ठीक है। राम हैज़ बिग रेड कैप, ठीक है। द सेम एक्सरसाइज कैन बी रिपीटेड बाई डिलीटिंग द लेटर्स RED one by one and rearranging the statements to make a triplet word. The conclusion from the above exercise is very obvious. Insertion or deletion of 1 or 2 bases changes the reading frame from the point of insertion or deletion. However, such mutations are referred to as frame shift, insertion or deletion mutations. ठीक है। Insertion or deletion of 3 or its multiple bases insert or delete in a multiple codon here one or multiple amino acids and reading frame remains unaltered the point onwards. ठीक है। tRNA, the adapter molecule. From the very beginning of the proposition of code, it was clear to Francis Crick that there has to be a mechanism to read the code and also to link it to the amino acids. Because amino acids have no structural specialties to read the code uniquely, he postulated that the presence of an adapter molecule that would, on one hand, read the code and on the other hand would bind to a specific amino acid, the tRNA, then called sRNA, soluble RNA, was known before the genetic code was postulated. However, its role as an adapter molecule was assigned much later. tRNA has an anticodon loop that has bases complementary to the code, and it also has an amino acid acceptor end to which it binds to amino acids. tRNA are specific for each amino acids. For initiation, there is another specific tRNA that is referred to as initiator tRNA. There are no tRNAs for stop codons. In figure 5.12, the secondary structure of the tRNA has depicted that looks like a clover leaf. In the actual structure, the tRNA is a compact molecule which looks like an inverted L. मतलब आपका 3D में कैसा स्ट्रक्चर होता है inverted L जैसा, और 2D में आपको कैसा दिखता है क्लोवर लीफ जैसा. ये भी आपको ध्यान में रखना है, ठीक है. चलो, ट्रांसलेशन. Translation refers to the process of polymerization of amino acids to form a polypeptide. The order and the sequence of amino acids are defined by the sequence of the bases in the mRNA. The amino acids are joined by the bond which is known as a peptide bond. Formation of a peptide bond requires energy. Therefore, in the first phase itself, amino acids are activated in presence of ATP and linked to their cognate tRNA, a process commonly called as charging of tRNA or amino acylation of the tRNA to be more specific. If two such charged tRNAs are brought close enough, the formation of peptide bond between them would be favored energetically. The presence of catalyst would enhance the rate of peptide bond formation. The cellular factory responsible for synthesizing protein is the ribosome. The ribosome consists of structural RNAs and about 80 different proteins. In its inactive state, it exists at two subunits, a large subunit and a small subunit. When the small subunit encounters an mRNA, the process of translation of mRNA to protein begins. There are two sites in the large subunit for subsequent amino acids to bind to and thus be close enough to each other for the formation of a peptide bond. The ribosome acts as a catalyst 23S-RNA in the bacteria in the enzyme ribozyme for the formation of a peptide bond. A translation unit is mRNA is the sequence of RNA that is flanked by the start codon AUG and the stop codon and the code for a polypeptide. An mRNA also has some additional sequences that are not translated and are referred as untranslated regions UTR. The UTRs are present at both 5' end before start codon and 3' end after stop codon. They are required for efficient translation process. For initiation, the ribosome binds to the mRNA at the start codon AUG that is recognized only by the initiator tRNA. The ribosome proceeds to the elongation phase of protein synthesis. During this stage, complexes composed of amino acid linked to tRNA sequentially bind to the appropriate codon in mRNA by forming complementary base pairs with the tRNA anticodon. The ribosome moves from codon to codon along the mRNA. Amino acids are added one by one, translated into polypeptide sequences dictated by DNA and represented by mRNA. At the end, a release factor binds to the stop codon, terminating translation and releasing the complete polypeptide from the ribosome. Regulation of gene expression. Regulation of gene expression refers to a very broad term that may occur at various levels. Considering that gene expression results in the formation of a polypeptide, it can be regulated at several levels. In eukaryotes, the regulation could be exerted at transcriptional level, formation of primary transcript, processing level, regulation of splicing, transport of mRNA from nucleus to cytoplasm, and translational level. The genes in cells are expressed to perform a particular function or a set of functions. For example, if an enzyme called beta-galactosidase is synthesized by E. coli, it is used to catalyze the hydrolysis of a disaccharide, lactose, into galactose and glucose. The bacteria use them as a source of energy. Hence, if the bacteria do not have lactose around them to be utilized for energy source, they would no longer require the synthesis of enzyme beta galactosidase. Therefore, in simple terms, it is the metabolic, physiological, or environmental conditions that regulate the expression of genes. The development and the differentiation of embryo into adult organisms are also a result of the coordinated regulation of expression of several sets of genes. In prokaryotes, control of the rate of transcriptional initiation is the predominant site for control of gene expression. In a transcription unit, the activity of RNA polymerase at a given promoter is in turn regulated by the interaction with accessory proteins, which affects its ability to recognize start sites. These regulatory proteins can act both positively activators and negatively repressors. The accessibility of promoter regions of prokaryotic DNA is in many cases regulated by the interaction of proteins with sequence operators. The operator region is adjacent to the promoter elements in most operons, and most cases the sequence of the operator bind to repressor protein. Each operon has its specific operator and specific repressor. For example, LAC operator is present only in the LAC operon and it interacts specifically with the LAC repressors only. The LAC operon. The elucidation of the LAC operon was also a result of a close association between a geneticist Francois Jacob and a biochemist Jacques Monod. They were the first to elucidate a transcriptionally regulated system. In LAC operon, here LAC refers to lactose. A polycistronic structural gene is regulated by a common promoter and a regulatory gene. Such arrangement is very common in bacteria and is referred to as operon. To name few such examples, LAC operon, TRP operon, ERA operon, HISA operon, VAL operon, etc. The LAC operon consists of one regulatory gene, the I gene. Here, the term I does not refer to inducer, rather, it is derived from the word inhibitor. And three structural genes, ZYA. The I gene code for the repressor of the LAC operon. The Z code for beta galactosidase, which is primarily responsible for the hydrolysis of disaccharide. Lactose into its monomeric unit, galactose and glucose. And the Y gene codes for the permease, which increases permeability of the beta galactosidase. The the A gene encodes a transacetylase. Hence, all three genes product in LAC operon are required for metabolism of lactose. In most other operons as well, the genes present in the operon are needed together to function in the same or related metabolic pathway. यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं एक रिप्रेसर है, तो जो mRNA ये यहाँ पे जाकर के बाइंड कर लेगा, तो आपका जो फर्दर बनेगा ही नहीं आपका लैक mRNA, अनलेस यहाँ पे आपका ये इंड्यूसर रहे जो कि इसको रिप्रेस कर दे और फिर आपका mRNA ताकि प्रोड्यूस हो सके. ठीक है, एब्सेंस ऑफ इंड्यूसर एंड इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ इंड्यूसर. ठीक है. Lactose is a substrate for the enzyme beta galactosidase and it regulates switching on and off of the operon. Hence, it is termed as inducer. In the absence of a preferred carbon source, such as glucose, if lactose is provided in the growth medium of the bacteria, the lactose is transported into the cells through the action of permease. Remember, a very low level of expression of LAC operon has to be present in the cell all the time, otherwise lactose cannot enter the cells. ठीक है. The lactose then induces operon in the following manner. The repressor of the operon is synthesized all the time constitutively from the I gene. The repressor protein binds to the operator region of the operon and prevents RNA polymerase from transcribing the operon. In the presence of an inducer such as lactose or allolactose, the repressor is inactivated by the interaction with the inducer. This allows RNA polymerase access to the promoter and transcription proceeds. Essentially, regulation of LAC operon can also be visualized as regulation of enzymes synthesized by its substrate. Remember, glucose or galactose cannot act as inducers for LAC operon. Can you think for how long LAC operon would be expressed in the presence of lactose? बताओ आंसर करके. अभी तुमने ऊपर पैराग्राफ पढ़ा है. Regulation of LAC operon by a repressor is referred to as negative regulation. LAC operon is under the control of positive regulation as well, but it is beyond the scope of discussion at this level. Okay, Human Genome Project. In the preceding section, you have learned that it is a sequence of bases in the DNA that determines the genetic information of given organism. In other words, genetic makeup of an organism or an individual lies in the DNA sequences. If two individuals differ, then their DNA sequence should also be different, at least at some places. These assumptions led to the quest of the finding out the complete DNA sequence of human genome. With the establishment of genetic engineering techniques where it was possible to isolate and clone any piece of DNA and availability of simple and fast techniques for determining DNA sequence, a very ambitious project of sequencing human genome was launched in the year 1990. Human Genome Project was called a mega project. You can imagine the magnitude and the requirements for the project if we simply define the aim of the project as follows. Human genome is said to have approximately 3 into 10 to the power 9 base pairs, and if the cost of sequencing requires $3 per base pair, the estimated cost in the beginning, the total estimated cost of the project would be approximately $9 billion, which is very huge. Okay. Further, if the obtained sequences were to be stored in a typed form in books, and if each page of the book contained 1000 letters and each book contained 1000 pages, then 3300 such books would be required to store information of DNA sequence from a single human cell. The enormous amount of data expected to be generated also necessitated the use of high speed computational devices for data storage and retrieval and analysis. HGP was closely associated with the rapid development of a new area in biology called bioinformatics. Goals of HGP. Some of the important goals of HGP were as following. First, identify all the approximately 20,000 to 25,000 genes in human DNA. Second, determine the sequence of 3 billion chemical base pairs that make up the human DNA. Third, store this information in database. Improve tools for data analysis. Transfer related technologies to other sectors such as industries, address the ethical, legal, social issues and ELSI that may arise from the project. The Human Genome Project was a 13-year project coordinated by the US Department of Energy and National Institute of Health. During the early years of HGP, the Wellcome Trust UK became a major partner. Additional contributions came from Japan, France, Germany, China, and others. The project was completed in 2003. Knowledge about the effect of DNA variations among individuals can lead to revolutionary new ways to diagnose, treat, and someday prevent the thousands of disorders that affect human beings. Besides providing clues to understanding human biology, learning about non-human organism DNA sequence can lead to understanding of their natural capabilities that can be applied towards solving challenges in healthcare, agriculture, energy production, environmental remediation. Many non-human model organisms such as bacteria, yeast, Caenorhabditis elegans, a free-living non-pathogen nematode, Drosophila, plants, rice, and Arabidopsis, etc., have been also sequenced. Methodologies. The methods involve two major approaches. One approach focused on identifying all the genes that are expressed as RNA, referred to as expressed sequence tags. The other took the blind approach of simply sequencing the whole set of genome that contained all the coding and non-coding sequences and later assigning different regions in the sequence with function, a term referred to as sequence annotation. For sequencing, the total DNA from a cell is isolated and converted into random fragments of relatively smaller sizes. Recall DNA is a very long polymer and there are no technical limitations in the sequencing very long piece of DNA and clones in suitable host using specialized vectors. The cloning resulted into amplification of each piece of DNA fragment so that it subsequently could be sequenced with ease. The commonly used hosts were bacteria and yeast, and the vectors were called bacterial artificial chromosomes and yeast artificial chromosomes. The fragments were sequenced using automated DNA sequences that worked on the principle of a method developed by Frederick Sanger. Remembering Sanger is also credited for developing methods for determination of amino acid sequence in proteins. These sequences were arranged based on some overlapping regions present in them. These required generations of overlapping fragments for sequencing. Alignment of these sequences was humanly not possible. Therefore, specialized computer based programs were developed. These sequences were subsequently annotated and were assigned to each chromosome. The sequence of chromosome 1 was completed in May 2006. This was the last of 24 human chromosomes, 22 autosomes, and XY to be sequenced. Another challenging task was assigning the genetic and physical maps on the genome. This was generated using the information on polymorphism of restriction endonuclease recognition sites and some repetitive DNA sequences known as microsatellite. One of the application of polymorphism in repetitive DNA sequence shall be explained in next section of DNA fingerprinting. Salient features of Human Genome Project. Some of the salient observations drawn from Human Genome Project are as follows. The human genome contained 3164.7 million base pairs. The average gene consists of 3000 bases, but sizes vary greatly. The largest known human gene being dystrophin at 2.4 million bases. The total number of genes is estimated at 30,000, much lower than the previous estimated 80,000 to 1,40,000 genes. Almost all 99.9% nucleotide bases exactly the same in all people. Fourth, the function are unknown for over 50% of discovered genes. Fifth, less than 2% of the genome codes for proteins. Sixth, repeated sequence make a very large portion of the human genome. Seventh, repetitive sequence are stretches of DNA sequence that are repeatedly many times, sometimes 100 to 1000 times. They are thought to have no direct coding functions, but they shed light on chromosome structures, dynamics, and evolutions. 8th, chromosome 1 has most genes, 2968, and Y has the fewest, 231, matlab 231. 9th, scientists have identified about 1.4 million locations where single base DNA differences, यानी कि SNP, single nucleotide polymorphism pronounced as SNPs, occur in humans. This information promises to revolutionize the process of finding chromosomal locations for disease-associated sequence and tracing human history. Applications and future challenge. Deriving meaningful knowledge from the DNA sequences will define research through the coming decades, leading to our understanding of biological systems. This enormous task will require the expertise and creativity of tens of thousands of scientists from varied disciplines in both the public and private sectors worldwide. One of the greatest impact of having the HG sequence may well be enabling a radically new approach to biological research. In the past, researchers studied one or a few genes at a time. With whole genome sequences and new high throughput technologies, we can approach questions systematically and on a much broader scale. They can study all the genes in genome, for example, all the transcripts in a particular tissue or organ or tumor, or how tens of thousands of genes and proteins work together in interconnected networks to orchestrate the chemistry of life. 5.10 DNA fingerprinting. As stated in the preceding section, 99.9% of the base sequence among the humans is the same. Assuming human genome as 3 into 10 to the power 9 base pairs, in how many base sequences would there be differences? It is these differences in the sequence of DNA which make every individual unique in their phenotypic appearance. If one aims to find out genetic differences between two individuals or among the individuals or of a population, sequencing of the DNA every time would be a daunting and expensive task. Imagine trying to compare two sets of 3 into 10 to the power 6 base pairs. DNA fingerprinting is a very quick way to compare the DNA sequence of any two individuals. DNA fingerprinting involves identifying differences in some specific regions in DNA sequence called as repetitive DNA, because in these sequence a small stretch of DNA is repeated many times. These repetitive DNA are separated from the bulk genomic DNA as different peaks during the density gradient centrifugation. The bulk DNA forms a major peak and the other small peaks are referred to as satellite DNA. Depending on the base composition, adenine to thymine rich or guanine to cytosine rich, length of segment and number of repetitive units, the satellite DNA is classified into many categories such as microsatellite, mini satellite, etc. These sequences normally do not code for any protein, but they form a large protein portion of human genome. These sequences show high degree of polymorphism and form the basis of DNA fingerprinting. Since DNA from every tissue such as blood, hair follicles, skin, bone, saliva, sperm, etc. from an individual show the same degree of polymorphism, they become very useful identification tool in forensic applications. Further, as the polymorphism are inheritable from parents to children, DNA fingerprinting is the basis of paternity testing in case of disputes. As polymorphism in DNA sequence is the basis of genetic mapping of human genome as well as of DNA fingerprinting, it is essential that we understand what DNA polymorphism means in simple terms. Polymorphism, variation at genetic level, arises due to mutation. Recall different kind of mutations and their effects that you have already studied in chapter 4 and the preceding section in the chapter. New mutation may arise in an individual either in somatic cells or in the germ cells, cells that generate gametes in sexually reproducing organisms. If a germ cell mutation does not seriously impair individuals' ability to have offspring who can transmit the mutation, it can spread to the other members of population through sexual reproduction. Allelic, again recall the definition of allele from chapter 4. Allelic sequence variation has been described as DNA polymorphism if more than one variant at a locus occurs in human population with the same frequency greater than 0.01. In simple terms, if an inheritable mutation is observed in a population at high frequency, it is referred to as DNA polymorphism. The probability of such variation to be observed in a non-coding DNA sequence would be higher as mutation in these sequences may not have any immediate effect or impact in an individual's reproductive ability. These mutations keep on accumulating generation after generation and from one type of the basis of variability or polymorphism. There is a variety of different type of polymorphism ranging from a single nucleotide change to very large scale changes. For evolution and speciation, such polymorphism play a very important role and you will study these in detail in higher classes. The technique of DNA fingerprinting was initially developed by Alice Jeffrey. He used a satellite DNA as probe that shows very high degree of polymorphism. It was called as variable number of tandem repeats VNTR. The technique as used earlier involved southern blot hybridization using radio labeled VNTR as a probe. It includes isolation of DNA, digestion of DNA by restriction endonuclease, separation of DNA fragments by electrophoresis, transferring of separated DNA fragment to synthetic membranes such as nitrocellulose or nylon, hybridization using labeled VNTR probe, and detection of hybridized DNA fragment by autoradiography. A schematic representation of DNA fingerprinting is shown in 5.16. ये रहा तुम्हारा image. ठीक है? Schematic representation of DNA fingerprinting. Few representative chromosomes have been shown to contain different copy of VNTR. For the sake of understanding different color schemes have been used to trace the origin of each band in the gel. The two alleles, paternal and maternal, of a chromosome also contain different copy number of VNTR. It is clear the banding pattern of DNA from crime scene matches with individual B and not with individual A. ये रहा तुम्हारा इंडिविजुअल ए का, ये रहा तुम्हारा इंडिविजुअल बी का, और ये तुम्हारा दिखा रखा है क्रोमोसोम्स कैसे दिख रहे हैं तुम्हारे. ठीक है, एम्पलीफाइड रिपीटेड सेपरेट साइज ऑन रिजेंबल गिव इट डीएनए फिंगरप्रिंट. सॉरी, डीएनए तुम्हारा दिख रहा था, वेरी सॉरी. चलो, the VNTR belongs to a class of satellite DNA referred to as mini satellite. A small DNA sequence is arranged randomly in many copy numbers. The copy number varies from chromosomes to chromosome in an individual. The number of repeats shows very high degree of polymorphism. As a result, the size of VNTR varies in size from 0.1 to 20 kb. So consequently, after hybridization with VNTR probe, the autoradiogram gives many bands of differing sizes. These bands give a characteristic pattern for an individual DNA. It differs from individual to individual in population except in the case of monozygotic twins. The sensitivity of the technique has been increased by use of polymerase chain reaction (PCR) that we will study about in chapter 9. Consequently, DNA from a single cell is enough to perform DNA fingerprinting analysis. In addition to applications in forensic sciences, it has much wider applications such as In determining population and genetic diversities, currently many different probes are used to generate DNA fingerprinting. तुम्हारा चैप्टर यहाँ पे ख़त्म हो गया. देखो ये चीज़ें काफ़ी, इसको तुम एक बार ध्यान से अपने से भी पढ़ लेना, क्योंकि इसमें कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ें तुमको पूरा रटने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, बट बेसिक रिडंडेंट क्या होता है, सैटेलाइट डीएनए क्या होता है, रेपिटेटिव क्या होता है, वगैरह वगैरह, डेफिनेशंस जो भी दिए हैं, वीएनटीआर किसको बोलते हैं, पॉलीमॉर्फिज्म का मतलब क्या है, डीएनए फिंगरप्रिंटिंग हम कैसे पता करते हैं, और किसने इसको स्टार्ट किया था, एलिस जेफरी ने बताया था कैसे कैसे क्या क्या होता है. तो ये चीज़ तुमको बेसिक तुम ध्यान रखना है. और एचजीपी में भी तुमको ये पूरा याद करने की ज़रूरत नहीं, हालांकि है तो एनसीईआरटी, तो तुम्हें वैसे तो कायदन तो पूरा पढ़ना चाहिए, लेकिन इसके गोल्स क्या क्या हैं और कितने बेस पे करना था, कितना अप्रॉक्सीमेट $US खर्च हो रहा था, और किस पे काम कर, जो मेथोडोलॉजीज़ हैं इसके, एक्सप्रेस सीक्वेंस टैक्स के बारे में, सीक्वेंस टैक्स के बारे में दिया, बैक के बारे में दिया, याक के बारे में दिया है. ये तुम एक बार ध्यान से देख लेना. और किस जीन पे, और ये तुम्हारा जो सैलिएंट फीचर्स हैं इनको एक बार तुम ध्यान से पढ़ लेना. ये सब ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, मतलब पूरे उसमें. ठीक है, चलो एक बार समरी देख लेते हैं. Nucleic acids are long polymers of nucleotides, while DNA stores genetic information. RNA mostly help in transfer and expression of information. Though DNA and RNA both function as genetic material, but DNA being chemically and structurally more stable is better genetic material. However, RNA is the first to evolve and DNA was derived from RNA. The hallmark of the double-stranded helical structure of DNA is the hydrogen bonding between the bases from opposite strands. The rule is that adenine pairs with thymine through 2H bonds and guanine with cytosine through 3H bonds. This makes one strand complementary to the other. The DNA replicates semi-conservatively. The process is guided by the complementary H bonding. A segment of the DNA that codes for RNA may in simplistic term can be referred as gene. During transcription also, one of the strands of the DNA act as template to direct the synthesis of complementary RNA. In bacteria, the transcribed mRNA is functional, hence can directly be translated. In eukaryotes, the gene is split. The coding sequence exons are interrupted by non-coding sequences introns. Introns are removed and exons are joined to produce functional RNA by splicing. The messenger RNA contains the base sequence that are read in a combination of 3 to make triplet genetic code. To code for an amino acid, the genetic code is read again on a principle of complementarity by tRNA that acts as adapter molecule. There are specific tRNAs for every amino acid. The tRNA binds to a specific amino acid at one end and pairs through H bonding with code on mRNA through its anticodons. The site of translation, यानी कि protein synthesis, is ribosomes, which binds to mRNA and provide platform for joining of amino acids. One of the rRNA act as a catalyst for peptide bond formation, which, as an example for RNA enzyme, ribozyme. Translation is the process that has evolved around RNA, indicating that life began around RNA. Since transcription and translation are energetically very expensive processes, these have to be tightly regulated. Regulation of transcription is the primary step for regulation of gene expression. In bacteria, more than one gene is arranged together, regulated in units called as operons. Lactoperon is the prototype operon in bacteria, which codes for genes responsible for the metabolism of lactose. The operon is regulated by the amount of lactose in the medium where the bacterium are grown. Therefore, this regulation can also be viewed as a regulation of enzyme synthesis by its substrate. Human Genome Project was a mega project that aimed to sequence every base in human genome. This project has yielded much new information. Many new areas and avenues have opened up as a consequence of project. DNA fingerprinting is a technique to find out variations in individuals of population at DNA level. It works on the principle of polymorphism in DNA sequence. It has immense applications in the field of forensic science, genetic biodiversity and evolutionary biology. तो मेरा चैप्टर भी कंप्लीट हो गया, तो मैं इसको अच्छे से रिवाइज कर लेना और क्वेश्चंस खुद से भी प्रैक्टिस कर लेना. नहीं तो हमें चैप्टर्स खत्म होने के बाद वापस कुछ क्वेश्चंस प्रैक्टिस करेंगे. तो तब तक के लिए पढ़ते रहो. ऑल द वेरी बेस्ट.